Hello people, as always I look like absolute shit, as does my house, and I don't really care. Right now I'm having a complete and utter crisis. Like, as you may have seen in the last video if you watched it, if not watch it now and then you'll understand. Some guy came out with his kids and he acted all nicey at first, but like one of the kids was 4 or 5. She looked like she wanted to be in bed. She looked like she'd been dragged out of bed. They were all in their pyjamas. It was pitch black outside. And one of them had a pole. And then they were chasing my dogs with the pole, going, yeah, terrifying my dogs. They were fucking terrified. And then, like, I didn't know what was going on. I was just like, oh my god, what's going on? I don't know what's going on. And unfortunately, because I was, so confused, like, I didn't even point my camera at what was going on. I was basically looking at the ground, sometimes a bit of the kids' feet, sometimes facing the dogs that were just like running back and forward, going crazy. But then at one point, you can vaguely hear me say, can you get your kids back inside? Because, the dogs were perfectly behaved. They were doing nothing. They just went for the bedtime pee. They hadn't even been to the toilet yet. And then they were going crazy. I was like, it's late at night. We've got lots of neighbours. You can't have them barking like that. And why are you kids doing it? Why are they scaring my dogs? And he was just like, you can't get your dogs under control. And I was like, well, usually I can, but they're terrified. Like, you just chased them with a pole. Like, what do you expect? Like, it was like a mop handle pole thing. So, to the average person, if you get hit with one of them, it might sting a little bit. It's not really going to hurt. But my dogs are tiny. Fievel's the size of a pint can, but with like a little head on the end and some little legs. Like, he could seriously hurt. Or if the kids fell, if they tripped while they were running and fell on top of my dogs, that could kill my dogs instantly. Like, it is dangerous. And those kids should have been in bed. They did. Like, I just don't understand it. And then he started screaming at me, your dogs shouldn't be here anyway. Don't bring your dogs down here to do the toilet. Like, does he expect them to use a human toilet? I don't get what he means. And more to the point, he said, my kids come out here every day. No, they don't. I've never seen this guy. I've lived here 11 years. The very first day this building was put up, well, not the first day it was put up, but like my name was put on the splat before the building was even made. It wasn't a building at that point. And then the first day when it had been completed, the first day that they handed out keys, I was homeless and I had to move in the first day. Some flats didn't even get allocated new tenants till like months later. The ones that did get tenants straight away, they would get the keys and they would come every day and decorate, but they didn't live here. So, I've been here right from the start. I think there was maybe 3 people living here when I lived here to begin with. But there was a guy next door and someone on another floor. That was about it. And even then, there was always a dog in the garden. Always. Always been dogs in the garden. People who come and had dogs, they've always gone to the garden. They've come and gone. Always been dogs in the garden. And more importantly, someone reported me to the SSPCA actually. They said that I had 6 dogs in horrendous conditions. Like, yes, my house is an absolute dump, but it's just mess. It's untidy. It's not affecting the dogs. It's not dirty. It looks dirty. Like my rug down here, yes, that looks absolutely filthy, but that's literally stains. Like, we got it like that. Like, it was someone's kid's rug, and they were throwing it out because of all the stains. And like, I literally just said, well, I'll take it because the dogs jump off the couch and it makes a noise downstairs. So that's literally why I have that disgusting rug. Like, that's not my dirt. That was already there. And now I forgot what I was talking about. Dang it. Yeah, so, the dogs are looked after. They're in good condition. They get good food. Like, and the SSPCA people actually said, they said, we work alone. But I was told this was such a bad case that I brought back up. And then she was actually laughing about it. She said, I don't know why we're here. And they were literally having a laugh and a joke. By the time they left smiling. They said everything's fine. And they did say, can we come back in a couple of months and make sure everything's still okay? And we said, yeah, that's absolutely fine. They never came back. They said it's fine. They actually contacted my housing officer straight after. And they said, yeah, we've been to visit her, we've had a complaint, we've been to visit her. There is absolutely fuck all wrong. Those dogs are fine. There's not 6 dogs in that house. Someone said I had 6. There's not. There's 4. 4 tiny, tiny, tiny dogs. Like one of my neighbours, he has a massive, massive, massive dog, right? My 4 dogs, if you put them together, if you squish them all together into a big ball and squish his dog into a ball, his dog would take up a hell of a lot more room than my dogs. And a dog that size is more dangerous to neighbours than my dogs. They're not going to hurt anyone. But basically, this isn't even the first time. I had someone come out before, just screaming their head off at me, saying, dogs aren't allowed in the garden. Dogs aren't allowed in the garden. And I'm like, I've been here from the start. Like, I know the rules. Dogs are allowed in the garden. I take my dogs out 3 times a day. I see other people taking their dogs out 3 times a day. Well, I mean, some people take their dog out literally once a day, and I'm like, what? Like, where's the dog going to the toilet the rest of the time? Is it just pooing in the house? I don't get it. But, yeah, so the first time it happened, my neighbour upstairs actually witnessed it all. And when he came in, and he was coming back in, he was like, excuse me, can I just get past? I don't want to get caught in the middle of this. Which I was like, yep, completely understandable, on you go. But this time, it got, like, the guy was so aggressive. He was screaming at me, screaming at my dogs. Like, they were trying to hurt my dogs with the pole. So this time he was like, okay, I'll help you. I'll hold your dogs, I'll help you. And I have mad respect for that guy now. I'm not joking. I'm so happy for him. With him. But yeah, it's getting insane. But aside from people screaming at me for dogs, that the housing officer knows I have these dogs. She was told that there were 6, and then she was told that no, there's actually 4. And she said, you're only supposed to have 2, but as long as there are no problems, you can keep them. And I said, like, one of them is my assistant's dog anyway, so he doesn't count. And Fievel is the size of a beer can, so although technically he should count because he's still a dog, I mean, it'd be a bit fucked up to say, oh no, you can't have that teeny tiny dog. But that would just be silly. I mean, if they said I had to get rid of him, then I would find someone I know and trust to take him. But, I mean, no, it's not a problem. But people blame me. There's people with giant dogs in here. They leave their giant turds in the garden. Don't pick them up. I get the blame. Everyone's like, you got 4 dogs, it must be you. And I'm like, that's like a Great Dane's poo. It did not come from a Chihuahua. And these people just don't get it. But also, people, and this has been going on for a couple of years now, people are throwing mouldy food out of the window. Like things like steaks, things that a dog is going to go for. And it's always terrifying that my dogs are going to get sick. And my dog Diesel, I used to have a staffy called Diesel, he did get sick from eating that stuff off the garden. And the other day there was mouldy mushrooms and mouldy eggs and all sorts all over the grass. And as of today, I took Marley out to the chemist as usual. And he was acting a bit funny. He kind of tried to, it's like he didn't want to go in. And I thought he was being silly. And I said, come on Marley, let's go in. And then when we were at the counter, he just started circling like he was about to poo. And I was like, what? Why would he do this? He knows so much better. So I picked him up, I ran outside, I said, I'll be back in a minute. Put him on the ground outside, I went, okay, do your poo then if that's what you need. All that came out was blood. And then, walking home, every time we stopped, all that came out was blood. And I was so terrified. It's like I've got so much shit going on with my neighbours trying to get rid of my dogs. And it's like, maybe something just happens to be wrong with him, but I'm actually starting to think that my neighbours have actually done something to make him ill. And I swear I will be demanding a full investigation. I tried phoning the vet, I can't get through. It says they're closed, but it says hold for an emergency, and then it just keeps cutting me off. So I don't really know what to do right now. But unless they find an explanation that's, nobody's fault, then I will 100% demand a full explanation. Even if it's not anyone's fault that he's sick, I'm demanding a full explanation in this anyway. People should not be throwing their mouldy food in the garden for people's dogs to eat. And then they have the cheek to say, like, oh, your dogs do a pee and a poo in the garden. My kids have to play out there. It's like, what about the mouldy food everywhere? What about the rat's head? I found 2 rat's heads out there. I've seen a fox out there. There's dead baby birds out there. There's a fucking nest full of birds. There's bird shit all over the grass. And they're going to cry because my dogs pee on the grass. Really. Like, it's so stupid, and I'm so infuriated. And for the last few days, like, the majority of the day I've been sitting shaking because I'm so stressed out about it and I cannot cope with it anymore. And I am about to go and have some alcoholic beverages because I cannot cope with this. So, yeah, actually I'm going to show you Marley. It's really messy over there, but I'm just going to show you him anyway. He looks so sad. Poor little boy. I mean, he might be sleepy because, like, I was sleeping too. But he hasn't been himself since he started pooing out the blood, and it's making me really sad. And, like, without him, like, what am I going to do? I don't have another service dog, so I'm screwed. I don't know what to do right now. Anyway, thank you for watching, and please, if you don't like dogs, I respect that. If people say to me, I don't like dogs, please keep it away from me, I respect that. If I'm scared of dogs, keep it away from me, I respect. If I'm scared of dogs, keep it away from me, I respect that. If they say I'm allergic to dogs, keep it away from me, I respect that. Even if they say nothing, if someone's walking past and some of my dogs want to say hello, I always say, no, come here, stay here. And then usually the person will say, oh, it's okay, I want to say hi. And then I'll be like, right, okay, on you go and say hi. But like, I try to be respectful, and people are just like, oh, well, I hate dogs, so I'm just going to make your life as hard as possible. Like, that's not fair. These people need to get a grip. Like, I have PTSD, and this guy's screaming at me. Like, that's a major trigger for me. It reminds me of my stepdad. That my stepdad was abusive, and he used to scream at me and scream at me. Sometimes he'd even hit me. Once he really hurt my back, pushing me into a door frame. So, I mean, all this shit comes back when this guy's screaming at me for nothing. Like, oh, my kids want to say hello. You can't have dogs in the garden. You leave all those giant poos. Like, what? I can't get my head around it. I need to go and get drunk. Have a lovely day, people. Please comment, rate, and subscribe. And, ooh, if you have a dog, leave a comment telling me what kind of dog you have. That was a terrible smile. God, I look so terrible on camera, especially in my teeth. Hope my dentist opens soon and I can start looking a little bit more normal again. Anyway, yeah, thanks for watching. Keep your doggies safe. Bye!